Hi, welcome back or welcome for the first time. If you're here, it means you're someone who wants to grow, to improve your English, and maybe even feel a little more confident in yourself. And I want you to know, you've come to the right place. This is not just another English lesson. This is your calm corner, where you can learn naturally, slowly, and kindly. No pressure, no rushing. Just real, everyday English, shared in a way that's simple and human. I know how overwhelming it can be to study a new language. I've seen people freeze when they try to find the right words. Not because they don't know enough, but because they don't feel safe. That's why I created this space. So you can learn in peace, in your own rhythm. In today's episode, I'm going to share with you 25 polite English phrases you can start using right away. Phrases that make you sound natural, respectful, and warm in conversation. These are the kinds of sentences native speakers use every day. Not fancy or complicated, but real, gentle, and helpful. I'll guide you through each one, give you examples, and show you how they sound in real life. All you need to do is listen and enjoy. And if this feels right for you, if you like learning this way, I'd love for you to follow this channel. Every episode is made with care, to help you feel more confident, more comfortable, and more connected through English. Alright, let's begin with the first phrase. It's simple but powerful. Would you mind? You might already know this phrase, or maybe you've heard it in a movie or from a polite stranger. But today, I want you to really feel how soft and respectful it sounds. Would you mind? Is one of the kindest ways to ask for something in English. Instead of saying, open the window, you can say, would you mind opening the window? It's like adding a warm smile to your words, showing that you care about the other person's comfort, not just your own. It invites connection, not demand. And that's what polite English is all about. Imagine you're in a cafe, and you want to borrow someone's pen. Instead of just saying, can I use your pen? Try this. Excuse me, would you mind if I used your pen for a moment? Is gentle, respectful. And honestly, people respond better when you speak this way. Shows emotional intelligence. Shows kindness. And here on this channel, we're not just learning English to pass a test. We're learning to speak with heart. So the next time you want to ask for something, big or small, try starting with, would you mind? It might be just a few words, but it opens the door to trust and respect in any conversation. Great, let's move on to the second phrase. And this one is so simple, yet so powerful in making others feel seen and appreciated. The phrase is, I really appreciate it. You might hear people say, thank you every day, but when you say, I really appreciate it, something changes, goes deeper. It tells the other person, I see what you did. I value it. It means something to me. And you know what? In a world where people are often busy, distracted, or rushing, those few extra words can create real connection. Let's say someone holds the door open for you. You could smile and say, thanks. That's nice. But if you gently say, thank you, I really appreciate it, you're giving more than words. You're giving warmth. Or maybe a friend helped you with something, they listened to you, or they stayed late to finish a task. When you say, I really appreciate what you did, it reminds them that their effort mattered. And people need to hear that. That's what polite language does. It's not just about being correct. It's about being kind and honest and thoughtful with our words. And here in this podcast, that's what we're learning together, not just English, but the kind of English that helps people feel safe and respected. So remember, next time someone helps you or supports you, or even just makes your day a little better, don't be afraid to slow down, look them in the eyes and say softly, I really appreciate it. Those few words, they can leave a beautiful mark. Let's continue with the third phrase, one that's often forgotten, but so comforting when used sincerely. The phrase is, take your time. Simple, right? Just 3 words. But it's the kind of phrase that can ease someone's anxiety in an instant. We live in a fast world. People rushing, deadlines looming, everyone trying to keep up. But when you gently say to someone, take your time, you're giving them something precious, permission to breathe. Imagine this. Someone is searching for their words, maybe they're nervous speaking English, or they're struggling to remember something. You could stay silent and wait. Or you could smile and say, it's okay. Take your time. That moment becomes safe. they relax, and suddenly, communication becomes human again. Not a test, not a performance, but a connection. And here's something you might not expect: you can say it to yourself too. When you're learning and you feel slow, or you forget a word, or you make a mistake, pause, breathe, and whisper to yourself, take your time. Learning a language isn't a race. You don't have to rush to be perfect. You just have to keep going, gently, patiently. That's the spirit of this podcast, and of this community. We're not here to judge you. We're here to walk with you, one kind phrase at a time. So keep this one close. Take your time. Use it with others. Use it with yourself. Let it remind you that learning, like life, is allowed to be slow. Beautiful. Now let's move gently into the fourth phrase, one that carries softness, respect, and maturity. It's, if it's not too much trouble. This phrase is like knocking on someone's door with care. You're asking for something, yes, but you're also giving the other person room to say no. And that, my friend, is real kindness. Instead of jumping straight into a request, like, can you help me? Try saying, if it's not too much trouble, could you help me with this? It shows that you value their time, their energy, and their choice. And people feel that. They feel the difference. Picture this. You're asking a coworker to review your work, or you're texting a friend to pick something up for you. When you add, if it's not too much trouble, it softens the request. It shows you're not assuming or demanding. You're simply hoping. And that tone, that humble, gentle tone, creates trust. Makes people feel respected. And that's what we're doing here, isn't it? We're not just building grammar. We're building character in English. So the next time you need a favor, try saying, if it's not too much trouble. And then smile, breathe, and let the kindness carry your words. Alright, let's move softly into the fifth phrase, one that often follows a kind request. The phrase is, whenever you have a moment. First, it might seem like a small phrase, easy to overlook. But in truth, it's a gift. It gives the other person space. It says, I know you're busy. I don't need it now. I can wait. And in a world where people feel rushed, that kind of patience is rare and deeply appreciated. Imagine you're asking a colleague for a small favor, maybe to sign a document or check something for you. Instead of saying, can you do this now? You might say, could you take a look whenever you have a moment? It's like opening a window instead of closing a door. The same request, but so much lighter, so much more respectful. Or maybe you're sending a message to a teacher, a coworker, or even a family member. You want to say, I need your help, but you don't want to pressure them. You write, no rush, just whenever you have a moment. Shows emotional intelligence. Shows grace. And those small signals of care, they stay with people. They remember how you made them feel. That's what we're learning here. Not just what to say, but how to say it in a way that honors both yourself and others. So tuck this phrase into your pocket. Whenever you have a moment. Use it in emails, texts, or gentle conversations. It might be soft, but it speaks loudly of kindness. Course. Let's continue, because now that we've learned how to make gentle requests and give others space, there's another phrase that helps keep that kindness flowing. Phrase number 6 is, no rush. 2 little words, but what a difference they make. You can think of this phrase as a soft smile built into language. When you say, no rush, you're telling someone, I respect your pace. I'm not here to pressure you. And in a world full of deadlines and pressure, hearing no rush can feel like a breath of fresh air. It works beautifully with what we just learned. Whenever you have a moment, and if it's not too much trouble. Together, they create a tone that is calm, flexible, and deeply polite. Let's say someone promises to help you, but you can see they're overwhelmed. Instead of pushing them, you simply say, take your time, no rush at all. Or maybe you've sent a message and you're waiting for a reply. Instead of asking again and again, you follow up gently with, just a reminder, no rush of course. And suddenly they feel seen, understood. That's the kind of communicator we're becoming here. Someone who doesn't just speak English, but speaks it with kindness. So go ahead and use this phrase. Let no rush become your quiet gift to someone else's busy day. Costs nothing, but it means everything. Let's continue gently into phrase number 7, a phrase that brings comfort when someone is uncertain or feeling bad. The phrase is, "Don't worry about it." Maybe you've heard it before, but today I want you to feel how healing it can be, for others and even for yourself. "Don't worry about it" is more than just a way to dismiss something. When said with care, it becomes a soft hand on someone's shoulder. It says, "It's okay. You're not in trouble. I understand." Imagine someone apologizes to you. Maybe they forgot to reply to your message or they made a small mistake. You smile and say, "Hey, don't worry about it." And just like that, the pressure lifts. Their shoulders relax. They feel safe again. Or maybe you're in a situation where someone feels nervous. Maybe they're late or they spilled something or said the wrong word. And you gently reassure them, "It's all good. Don't worry about it." These small phrases build bridges. They show others that you're not just using English. You're using English with heart. And that's what makes your words unforgettable. So add this phrase to your toolkit, and use it not to dismiss problems, but to show people that you care more about their peace than their perfection. Don't worry about it. It might be exactly what someone needs to hear today. Let's continue. And this next phrase is like a quiet door you open when someone needs space. Phrase number 8 is, "Whenever you're ready." Soft, it's patient, and it holds so much respect in just 3 words. You say it when you're giving someone time to speak, to act, to make a decision, without pressure. And in doing so, you tell them, "I'm here. I'm not rushing you. I'll wait with you." Imagine you're with a friend who's feeling nervous. Maybe they need to talk about something personal, or they're about to try something new. You look at them gently and say, "Take your time. Whenever you're ready." Those words don't just sound polite, they feel safe. Or think about a classroom setting or a work conversation. Someone's unsure, searching for the right words, and you say, "No pressure, whenever you're ready." Creates space, allows breath. And sometimes that's all someone needs to find their voice. In English, being polite isn't about being distant. It's about being human. It's about saying, "You matter. Your timing matters." That's what we practice here. Not just sentences but presence. So keep this phrase close to your heart. Whisper it to a friend. Say it to a child. Offer it to yourself. Whenever you're ready. It's one of the kindest ways to say, "I'm here." Beautiful. Let's move gently into phrase number 9. A phrase that shows not only politeness, but thoughtfulness and responsibility. The phrase is, "Let me know if you need anything." These words may seem simple, but when spoken with sincerity, they carry deep warmth. You're not just offering help. You're opening a door, inviting someone to lean on you if they need support. And sometimes, just knowing that door is open makes all the difference. Imagine someone around you is going through a busy day or a tough moment. You might not know exactly what to say, but you pause, look at them and say softly, "Let me know if you need anything." You're not forcing yourself into their space. You're just letting them know, "I'm here if you need me." Or maybe a friend is feeling anxious about an upcoming meeting, or a colleague is working late. A gentle message that says, "Hey, I'm around. Let me know if you need anything," can feel like a little light in a long day. That's the beauty of this phrase. It's polite, it's generous, but most of all, it's human. And that's what we're doing here together. We're learning English that doesn't just sound good. It feels good. So go ahead and share this phrase not just with words but with presence. Let people know they're not alone. Let me know if you need anything. Sometimes that's all it takes to show someone you care. Let's continue gently with phrase number 10. A phrase that holds humility and honesty, and makes your English feel natural and human. The phrase is, "I'm not sure but I'll find out for you." In a conversation, it's easy to feel pressured to always have the answer. But the truth is, you don't have to. In fact, one of the most polite and professional things you can say is, "I'm not sure but I'll find out." It shows honesty without weakness, and care without pretending. Imagine someone asks you for information. Maybe a coworker asks about a schedule, or a friend wants to know about a place you mentioned. Instead of guessing or saying, "I don't know," and leaving it there, you say warmly, I'm not sure, but I'll find out for you. And in that moment, you're doing two things: being honest and offering help. You're showing that their question matters and that you're willing to support them, even if the answer isn't in your hands yet. And if you're speaking English as a second language, this phrase can also be your quiet strength. When you feel unsure, you don't have to freeze or apologize. You can simply say, "I'm not sure, but I'll find out for you." And just like that, you stay in the conversation with grace. Here on this podcast, we're learning that it's okay not to be perfect. What matters is staying present, kind, and clear. So add this phrase to your gentle toolkit. You might not have all the answers, but your response can still be full of confidence and care. Let's move softly into phrase number 11, one that creates space, respect, and emotional awareness. The phrase is, "I completely understand." You might think of this as just something polite to say when someone is talking, but it's so much more than that. When said sincerely, "I completely understand" becomes a bridge, a quiet signal that says, "You're not alone. Your feelings make sense." Imagine someone is explaining why they're late, or why they're struggling, or even just why they're feeling tired. You could nod and say nothing, or you could look at them and say with warmth, "I completely understand." And suddenly the tension eases. They feel heard. They feel safe. Or maybe a friend tells you they had to cancel something because life got overwhelming. Instead of asking questions or giving advice, you simply reply, "I completely understand. We all go through days like that." That phrase doesn't fix anything. It doesn't pretend to. But it acknowledges, it affirms. And in a busy, noisy world, that kind of soft validation can feel like a deep breath. That's what we practice here. Language that doesn't just carry meaning, but carries empathy. So next time you're listening to someone, whether in English or in your native language, try offering this small but powerful phrase, "I completely understand," because sometimes being heard is more healing than being helped. Let's move into phrase number 12, a phrase that's quiet, respectful, and gives others space to be honest. The phrase is, "If you'd prefer something else, that's totally okay." This isn't just about being polite. It's about releasing control. It's about saying, "I value your comfort as much as my own." You see, sometimes in English, and in life, it's not just what we offer but how we offer it that matters. When you invite someone to choose without pressure, you create trust. Imagine you're planning a meeting time or suggesting a restaurant or even offering a gift. Instead of insisting or assuming they'll agree, you gently say, "But if you'd prefer something else, that's totally okay." And with that one phrase, you shift the focus. You open space for their voice. You say, "I want you to feel good too." That's how kind communication works. It shares power. It says, "Your comfort matters." And it makes people feel safe enough to speak up. Whether you're in a personal relationship or a professional one, this phrase is gold. Because it doesn't just avoid conflict, it invites real connection. And here in this podcast, that's what we're really learning. How to speak not just correctly but compassionately. So remember this phrase. Offer it softly. And mean it. If you'd prefer something else, that's totally okay. Sometimes giving someone a choice is the kindest thing you can do. Let's move into phrase number 13. A phrase that holds maturity, clarity, and a deep sense of calm. The phrase is, "It's completely up to you." At first glance, it may seem simple, but when spoken with care, it becomes a generous gift. You're giving someone freedom. You're saying, "I trust you. I'm not here to push or persuade. I honor your choice." Imagine someone asks, "Should we meet today or tomorrow? Or do you want to talk now or later?" And you feel flexible, open. Instead of choosing for them, you gently respond, "It's completely up to you." And just like that, the pressure shifts. They feel seen, respected, empowered. Or maybe someone is hesitating, unsure whether to go, to stay, to decide. And in that tender moment, your calm voice offers, "It's completely up to you." You give them back their voice. And sometimes that's all a person needs. Because deep down, we all want to feel trusted. We all want to feel like our choices are respected. This phrase does that. Not with loud authority, but with quiet confidence. And here that's what we're practicing. Not just English that communicates, but English that liberates. So when the moment feels right, use this phrase. Let it remind the person in front of you, or even yourself, that choice is powerful, and peace often begins with freedom. It's completely up to you. Let's continue into phrase number 14, a phrase that gently honors someone's time and presence. The phrase is, "Thanks for taking the time." In today's fast-moving world, time is one of the most valuable things we have. And when someone chooses to spend a moment with you, whether it's a conversation, a reply, or just listening, that's a gift. Saying, "Thanks for taking the time," is how you recognize that gift. It's how you say, "I see you. I don't take you for granted." Imagine a coworker stays after a meeting to help you, or a friend listens as you share something important. You could say a quick thanks, but when you add, "Thanks for taking the time," the feeling goes deeper, becomes personal. It shows you value not just the action but the effort behind it. Or maybe you're speaking to someone who gave you advice, read your message, or simply answered a question when they were clearly busy. That one extra sentence, "I really appreciate you taking the time," reminds them that their presence mattered. And that kind of appreciation stays with people. That's what we're building here. Not just sentences but sincerity. Not just English but emotional connection through language. So don't be afraid to say it, even in small situations. Let your words carry meaning. Thanks for taking the time. It may seem simple, but it tells the other person, your kindness did not go unnoticed. Let's move into phrase number 15, one that brings gentleness into disagreement. The phrase is, "I see where you're coming from." This isn't a phrase about agreement. It's a phrase about empathy. It says, "Even if I don't feel the same way, I understand your perspective." And that is such a powerful thing to offer. Because in life, and in conversation, we won't always see things the same way. But when we show that we want to understand, something shifts. Tension softens. Respect grows. Imagine someone is explaining a decision you don't fully agree with. Maybe a friend, a coworker, or even someone you've just met. You pause, take a breath and say, "I see where you're coming from." You're not pretending to agree. You're simply acknowledging their point of view. And that small act of empathy can change the entire tone of the conversation. It tells them, "You're not alone. Hear you. I'm listening." Or maybe you're in a discussion, not an argument but a difference of thought. And instead of pushing back immediately, you offer, "I see where you're coming from. Here's how I feel." And now the conversation becomes a bridge, not a wall. That's what we're building here. Not just polite phrases, but language that opens hearts. So try this one. Practice it softly. "I see where you're coming from." Because even when you don't share the same opinion, you can always share understanding. Let's continue with phrase number 16. A phrase that honors honesty and makes others feel safe to speak their truth. The phrase is, "Thanks for being honest." These few words can carry more meaning than we realize. Because let's face it, honesty isn't always easy. Can be vulnerable. Can be uncomfortable. But when someone chooses to be honest with you, especially in a difficult moment, they're offering you something real. And when you respond with, "Thanks for being honest," you're not just being polite, you're creating a safe space. Imagine someone tells you something personal. Maybe they admit they're not feeling okay. Or they confess they forgot something or made a mistake. Instead of reacting with frustration or judgment, you pause, breathe, and say softly, "Thanks for being honest." Those words say, "I value truth more than perfection. I respect your courage." Or maybe you're in a conversation where someone gives you feedback, something you needed to hear, even if it stings a little. You take a moment and respond, "It's not easy to say that, I know. Thanks for being honest with me." That kind of emotional maturity is rare. And that's why it stands out. Here in this podcast, we're not just learning to speak English. We're learning to use it, to build trust, to deepen relationships, to speak with integrity. So carry this phrase with you. Use it when the moment feels real. Let someone know that their honesty was not only accepted, it was appreciated. Thanks for being honest. It's one of the kindest ways to say, I see your courage and I honor it. Let's continue to phrase number 17. A phrase that brings softness when plans need to change. The phrase is, I completely understand if you're not available. Life is full of shifts. Schedules move, people get busy, and sometimes things don't go as planned. And when you offer this phrase with sincerity, you're telling the other person, I value your time. I won't take it personally if now isn't the right moment. That's rare. And it's deeply respectful. Imagine you're inviting someone to a meeting, an event, or even just a coffee chat. You could say, let me know if you can make it, and that's fine. But when you add, I completely understand if you're not available, you're giving them something more, the freedom to say no without guilt. You're showing emotional intelligence. Or maybe you've asked a friend or coworker for help. And instead of waiting with pressure or silent expectation, you gently say, if it's not a good time, I completely understand. You're not being weak, you're being wise. You're showing that relationships mean more to you than control. That's the heart of this practice. We're not here just to use correct English. We're here to speak in a way that leaves people feeling safe, respected, and free. So keep this phrase close. Use it when you ask, when you invite, when you hope. And let it remind people, and yourself, that love and language both grow stronger when space is respected. I completely understand if you're not available. Sometimes letting go with grace says more than holding on tightly. Let's move into phrase number 18. A phrase that offers presence without pressure. The phrase is, I'm here if you need me. These words are quiet, almost whisper-like. But they hold a powerful message. They say, you don't owe me anything. You don't have to explain. But I'm not going anywhere. In moments when someone is struggling, uncertain, or just quiet, we often don't know what to say. We want to help, but we don't want to intrude. That's when this phrase becomes your gentle anchor. Imagine a friend is going through a hard day. You check in and they don't feel like talking much. Instead of asking questions or offering solutions, you just say softly, no worries, I'm here if you need me. That one sentence lets them breathe. It reminds them they're not alone. Or maybe someone at work seems overwhelmed but hasn't said much. You send a short message. Hey, I know things are busy. I'm here if you need anything. You don't need a reply. You've already given them the most important thing, emotional space with quiet support. That's what we're practicing here. English that's not just about being understood, but about understanding others. So let this phrase become part of your way of showing up. Not loudly, not urgently, just steadily. I'm here if you need me. Because sometimes the most powerful thing you can say is simply, you don't have to go through this alone. Let's continue to phrase number 19. A phrase that gently holds space for truth and timing. The phrase is, only if you feel comfortable sharing. These words are like open hands, not pulling, not pushing, just offering. And in a world where people often feel pressured to explain themselves, this phrase is a breath of kindness. Imagine you're in a conversation and someone seems quiet, maybe carrying something heavy. You want to ask, but you don't want to cross a line. So you softly say, you can tell me. Only if you feel comfortable sharing. You're letting them know. This space is safe, but it's yours to step into when you're ready. That's respect. That's emotional safety. Or maybe you're having a deeper talk with a friend or a coworker. You're curious, but you pause and add, only if you feel comfortable sharing, no pressure at all. Those few words can change everything. Because suddenly they feel in control. They feel seen. And that makes trust grow. That's what we're building here. Not just polite language, but language that listens. Language that knows when to wait. So carry this phrase gently. Offer it in soft moments. And mean it when you say, only if you feel comfortable sharing. Because kindness isn't just in what we ask. It's in how gently we allow someone to say no. Let's move into phrase number 20. A phrase that brings care and encouragement into the little moments of hesitation. The phrase is, take all the time you need. This is more than just being polite. It's a soft permission. A quiet way of saying, you're not being judged. There's no clock ticking here. You matter more than the schedule. In so many situations, at work, in conversations, or even in moments of grief or decision-making, people often feel rushed. They feel like they need to speak quickly, answer fast, decide now. But when you gently say, "Take all the time you need," you give them something precious, space. Imagine someone is about to make a choice and they pause, unsure. You don't fill the silence. Instead, you smile gently and say, "It's okay. Take all the time you need." And you watch their shoulders relax. Or perhaps someone is processing something difficult, a feeling, a memory, a loss. And instead of asking more questions, you softly offer, "No hurry. Take all the time you need." Those words become a safe place to breathe. That's the kind of English we're learning here. Not rushed, not robotic, but patient, thoughtful, and human. So don't be afraid of quiet moments. Don't fear pauses. Just let your kindness fill the space. Take all the time you need. Because when people feel safe, they open up in their own time. And that's when real connection begins. Let's move into phrase number 21. A phrase that brings humility and grace into everyday conversation. The phrase is, "Please don't feel obligated." It's one of those gentle sentences that removes pressure before it even begins. You're not just saying "you don't have to." You're saying it with care, with softness, with kindness. Imagine you've invited someone to help you attend an event or take part in something you care about. You genuinely want them there. But you also want them to feel free. So you say, "I'd love for you to come, but please don't feel obligated." And with that, your invitation becomes a gift, not a burden. Or maybe you've offered someone a choice, and you sense hesitation in their voice. Instead of pushing, you gently reassure them, "Please don't feel obligated. I understand either way." You're giving them permission to honor their truth. That's powerful. That's rare. And that's the kind of English that makes people feel respected. Here in this space, we're learning to express more than thoughts. We're learning to express care. Because when your words carry gentleness, people lean in. They trust you more. So keep this phrase with you, especially when you want to show that your heart is open, whether they say yes or no. Please don't feel obligated. In a world full of expectations, this phrase is a quiet act of emotional freedom. Let's move gently into phrase number 22. A phrase that brings softness into disagreement and allows you to express yourself without shutting others down. The phrase is, "That makes sense." You might be surprised. Isn't that just a casual phrase? Yes. But when spoken with intention, it becomes something more. "That makes sense," tells the other person. "I hear you. I get where you're coming from. Even if I see things differently, I respect your view." And that kind of validation, especially in the middle of a hard conversation, can be quietly healing. Imagine someone is explaining their reasons for making a decision. Maybe it surprised you, maybe it wasn't what you expected. But you pause, listen fully, and say gently, "That makes sense." You're not necessarily agreeing. You're not changing your mind. You're simply recognizing their experience. Or maybe someone is sharing how they feel. Nervous, overwhelmed, uncertain. Instead of rushing to fix it or compare, you look them in the eyes and say, "Yeah, that makes sense." And suddenly they don't feel so alone. They feel understood. And that's what we're really learning here. English that doesn't dominate but connects. English that doesn't interrupt but listens. So use this phrase when the moment is right. Let it be your way of saying, "You don't have to convince me. I already see your heart. That makes sense." 3 simple words. 1 powerful bridge. Let's continue with phrase number 23. A phrase that brings clarity without sounding harsh or demanding. The phrase is, "Just to clarify." This is one of those beautiful, balanced expressions. It lets you ask for more information or correct a misunderstanding, but in a way that feels respectful, not confrontational. It says, "I care enough to make sure I really understand you." Imagine you're in a meeting or even a casual conversation, and someone says something that feels a little unclear. Instead of saying, "Wait, what does that mean?" which might sound abrupt, you gently ask, "Just to clarify, did you mean we're meeting at 3 or 3:30? See the difference? You're showing that you're listening closely, And you're doing your part to keep the communication clean and kind. Or maybe you're following instructions, and you want to be sure you're doing it right. You softly say, "Just to clarify, do you want this finished by Friday or Monday?" It's professional, it's polite, and it shows thoughtfulness. In a world full of fast messages and assumptions, this phrase creates pause. It invites mutual understanding. And here in this space, that's what we're learning. Not just to speak, but to speak with care. So keep this one in your back pocket. Use it with coworkers, friends, even strangers. Just to clarify. Because when your words are clear and kind, your conversations become places of trust. Let's continue with phrase number 24, a phrase that offers reassurance and acceptance in the gentlest way. The phrase is, "It's totally okay either way." These words are like a soft cushion in a moment of uncertainty. You're saying, whatever you choose, whatever you feel, it's valid. You're not letting me down. And in today's world, where so many people feel like they have to please others or choose the right answer, that kind of unconditional space is rare and healing. Imagine you've asked someone a question, maybe about whether they're comfortable sharing something, joining a plan, or making a decision. You sense hesitation in their voice. So you smile and you say, "Hey, it's totally okay either way." And you mean it. You're telling them their value doesn't depend on what they choose. Or perhaps someone's unsure about how much they want to be involved in something. And instead of waiting for a perfect response, you gently say, "No pressure at all. It's totally okay either way." That moment becomes soft, safe. And that's the magic of this phrase. It takes away fear and replaces it with calm. That's what we're creating here. A kind of English that not only expresses your thoughts, but reflects your heart. So carry this phrase with you. Use it when you sense doubt. Use it when someone's afraid of disappointing you. Let your words become a place of freedom. It's totally okay either way. Because when people feel accepted no matter what, they begin to trust and open up for real. Let's arrive gently at phrase number 25, the final phrase in our journey today. And it's one of the warmest, most human expressions you can carry with you. The phrase is, "It means a lot." So simple. And yet so full of heart. When someone does something kind, even something small, and you look at them with sincerity and say, "Thank you. That really means a lot." You're telling them their action touched you, mattered. It wasn't invisible. And that, for most people, is everything. Imagine someone stays late to help you or checks in on you when you're having a hard day. You could just say, "Thanks." But when you pause, let your voice soften and say, "Seriously, it means a lot." The gratitude goes deeper. It reaches them. Or maybe someone simply listens. They don't fix anything. They're just there. And you whisper, "This means more than I can say. It really means a lot." That moment becomes a memory. A moment that stays. And that's what this phrase does. It turns a quiet thank you into something lasting. Something sincere. And that's what we've been practicing in every phrase today. English that feels good to say, and even better to receive. So keep this one close. Use it when words feel small but your heart feels full. It means a lot. Because when you say it and mean it, it does. You made it. 25 gentle, powerful phrases to help you speak with grace, empathy, and confidence. But more than that, you've taken time for yourself. You've chosen to grow, not just as an English speaker, but as a kind communicator. I hope you can feel how much care was placed into each word in this episode. And if this way of learning feels right for you, slow, warm, human, I'd love for you to stay. Follow this channel. Come back whenever you need to reconnect with peaceful English. There's always more to learn. More ways to speak with kindness. Until next time, take care of your heart. And take your time.